Grafting Street, Part 1. An original short story by Jared I. McGee. I've always been a bit of a spendthrift. Ebenezer Scrooge, in that ancient children's story, elicits more pity from me before he gets spoiled out of who he really is by all those bloody ghosts. It's a sad tale, that one, really. But even though I am particular about what I will spend my hard-earned money on, you'd think I'd have made an exception just this once. I mean, legal fees and doctors. That's what you're not supposed to skimp on, right? I should have known that the thaumaturgist I'd chosen might be less than reputable just from the chock-a-block look of his ramshackle office building, in which he was the only tenant, in which there were no windows, from which oily, acrid steam rose day and night. But of course, I just had to save a central or three. You have to understand, see? I love to swim. Always have. Ever since I was a wee little lad. My mum used to call me Tadpole on account of my being nigh impossible to get out of the water. She'd take me up north to the ponds and streams and lochs to play in the unspoiled waters. Waters that wouldn't burn. We'd fish sometimes too, when Da and Jystrom could come with us, but I never cared much for that. Seeing the fish writhe and gasp for air as they began their slow, suffocating deaths made me sad. Saw myself as their cousin, if you will. When I could, I'd toss some back, even though I knew Da would catch more and Jystrom would knock me on the arm for my heroic deed. Once I hit 10 spans though, it was off to the shine factories, just like every other child in Biter's Bend. The swimming trips stopped. The fun stopped. Luckily, I was good at my job. Unluckily, that meant I'd spend more time even closer to the shine. What most citizens don't know is that shine will rot you if you get too close to too much of it too often. In my case, I all but waded through the shit day in and day out for a decade. By the time I reached my majority 11 spans down the line, my legs were withered and ruined. I walked with a shuffle and a limp, relying on a cane more than any young man should, even one that deals in shine. Once a span, Ma and I head up country, like the old days. Supposedly, the fresh air will help reverse some of the damage, but that sounds like optimistic propaganda from the hill to me. Still, we go. Da and Jystrom both died several spans back now. Da from a heart attack and Jystrom from a fight over some food at market. So I just can't let Ma down. I have to keep trying to keep a shiny approach to life. For her. While on one of these trips, I saw a young woman about my age, splashing and playing in the water. Her skin was the colour of the expensive wood bookshelves in the Pinnacle Library, a deep, rich brown. She was barely covered, a tattered light blue, mostly transparent frock clinging to her wet body. I couldn't help but stare. To my surprise, she approached me. And when she did, I couldn't help but notice the chunky off-white splotches mottling her legs and lower back. I was embarrassed and looked away. As it turned out, Anayansa had a great sense of humour and put me at ease, which is funny to say since I was the fully clothed one gaping at her. We chatted about all sorts of humdrum whippoorwill, but the standout from our conversation was her grafts. Like me, Anayansa had done well in the factories, and like me, she'd ruined her body. Convinced that she could still live a better life, she set out to get a thaumaturgist appointment to enhance her failing body. Through some saving of her factory wages and a little time on her back for all kinds of centrals, she was able to get her grafts. She had 4 cetacean patches woven into her, delphinidians to be precise. Now, not only was she not hobbled, she was graceful and strong on the land and in the water. Seeing this second chance at life made me realize that I had to do the same. Ma needs me. So, I resolved myself to find someone to graft me. More hours at the factory, selling contraband after hours, smuggling bottles of unprocessed shine out for sale on the black market, a tryst or two fucking rich old ladies, thinking they'll feel more alive taking cocks from rough hoods like me, feel more real if they peddle their pussies around biters and cornfile and coal hill and cotton farthing. Point is, I got the money. Then, like the fool I so often am, I made the mistake of going to a discount thaumaturgy joint. If you've never been poor, you just can't understand trying to pinch centrals the way we paupers down Cheapside do. I saved plenty of money to hire at least a middling grafter, but thoughts of what the extra could do for Mum, it was just too much for me to spend it all on myself. Since Da and Jystrom was indentured, which came long before their deaths, I'm all she has, and my paltry wage couldn't keep us in food, or heat, or much of anything. We subsisted on the small, fuzzy gouses that scoured our dilapidated building for wayward crumbs from the meagre meals being served up within. The poor beasties we ate were the fortunate ones then. They did not starve to death. So, grafting on the cheap it was. And Nyanza had spoken of any number of amazing creatures, flying, walking, swinging, climbing, swimming. I could have had my choice of almost any of them, had I but spent all my hard-earned centis. Instead, I put most of them in the old cinder jar Mum kept any earnings that her 3 boys brought home for the family. That cinder jar. Ha! It brings back memories. I heard Mom and Da talking about her working only once, and in hushed, angry whispers. Even as a whelp, I knew Ma was thinking of selling herself to some of the rich for some carnal pleasure, or some of her spare parts, or even worse, a piece of her essence. That's the only time I ever heard Da raise his voice at her. Never again did the subject matter come up. With most of my centrals now in the jar, I banished thoughts of Thaumaturgy Boulevard, and I made my way down to Grafting Street. Thank you for listening to part 1 of Grafting Street, a short story by me, Jared I. McGee. The first backing track from this piece is Not the Streets You Used to Walk Along, from Philip Weigel. It comes from his album Soundtracks and was taken from the Free Music Archive. It is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. The second track is The Talons of Adventure, The Antlers of Romance by Dr. Turtle. It was also taken from the Free Music Archive, and it is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial 4.0 International License. Please use the links provided to check out both of these artists and the Free Music Archive. The next episode under the episode 17 banner of prose is Crunching. Stick around.